What's up, metalheads? Welcome back to Sinister Bunny Studios, your go-to channel for heavy metal content. And today, we're looking at the Omega Ampworks Granophyre by Neural DSP. Let's check it out. Alright, you guys, so this is the Omega Ampworks Granophyre by the people over at Neural DSP. It's another amazing plugin that they have created. They've been spitting stuff out like crazy, like you wouldn't believe. You look everywhere and they're just releasing new things left and right. If you guys don't remember, back a while ago, I demoed the Archetype Nolly, which is an amazing plugin by the folks over at Neural DSP. And I bought that and I still use it. And they came out with this new plugin that really caught my eye and caught my ear because it sounded really, really good. It has that high gain American amplifier sound that I want for metal. And I decided to check it out, and I'm also deciding to show it to you guys. So I'm going to give you guys a little bit of playing every now and then just to keep things interesting so I'm not rambling on forever. And I'll talk more technical stuff in between. So let's get a little riffage going now. Alright, you guys, so let's get a quick overview here. It's very similar to a lot of the newer plugins coming out from Neural DSP, but I'll kind of work my way from left to right, I guess. So if you start at the far end, you've got this Earthquaker Devices Plumes Overdrive pedal, which was a really interesting choice for them to implement for this. But nonetheless, it sounds really good and it does the job and it kicks ass. So you got the typical level, tone, and gain knobs on it with a couple different modes. And yeah, it's an overdrive. It does what it says. And as you can see at the top here, you've got your input dial, a gate dial, which is very nice, comes in handy a lot. You have a switch between mono and stereo modes. You have your oversampling at normal or high. If you have a little less of a beefy computer, normal is probably the way to go, but I have mine set to high. You have your selector for your presets and a way to save them and to search for them and all that fun stuff, and an output dial. If you move on over to the right at the top here, this brings you over to the actual amp. And this is the beefy as hell looking Omega amp. You can see from the left, you've got your input cord going out for looks. You have a gain dial. You have a high and low for the gain, so you can have a low gain or a high gain sound if you want. You have your bass, mid, and treble dials, a level dial. You have a voice switch that kind of changes like the mids of your tone. And I'll kind of show you guys in a little bit. You also have a master dial. You have a depth, which kind of tames the low end of your sound, and a detail that kind of tames the high end. And then you have an active switch for on and off. You move on over to the next section. You have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, I think 9 or 10 band EQ. So you can really dial in your tone if you wanted to. And a switch for on and off. Move over here. This is the really cool part with the stuff from Neural DSP. You have the speaker cabinet section where you can pick from a long, wide range of different microphones and place them on the actual cabinet. You can have like up to 2 at once, so you can turn on a second one and have it going. And you can move the microphones around wherever you want to get the sound you want, and you can kind of place them wherever. You got dials to change the position. You have a phase switch. You can turn them on and off. And, you know, there's just a long list of microphones you can use. Dynamics, condensers, and ribbon mics. And you can also load your own custom impulse responses to this as well. So that's always a really fun factor to add to the whole spiel of this awesomeness that is this plugin. Okay, so some other features to mention. Down in the bottom left, you'll see some little things here. You have a settings switch where you can change your settings for inputs, outputs, all that fun stuff. Typical. You also have MIDI control, MIDI mappings. You know, you can use it for MIDI if you so choose to use it live and stuff like that. Map it out. And another thing that they added that I think is really crucial, and I wish they would have added it in some other ones like the Archetype Nolly. Maybe they will in the future with an update. Who knows? But they added a tuner, which comes in handy because when I was running this, like the Archetype Nolly through Cubase, I would have to use a separate tuner and stuff, and just having it together makes things nice and concise and pretty and efficient and optimized. So it's nice having that on there. But you'll also notice at the bottom here, you also have these 3 pictures. Now, some of you may be wondering, well, what the hell are those? Well, those are different tubes. Many people may not know, but a lot of good sounding amps have tubes in them. Tube amps, you know. Not everything is solid state. So they added this to this plugin, which I think is new. It wasn't in the Nolly, I know that much, but you can switch between different tubes. So they, like, if I can read, it's a 6L6, an EL34, and a KT66. So you have even more variability to change up the sound. You can change the tubes, and they change the sound a lot, honestly. So here's like the 6L6. You go over to the EL, and you go over to, excuse me, the KT. That one you can really tell. You can really tell that it kind of manipulates that sound a little bit. And it's just a really nice touch and an extra thing that you wouldn't normally think of. And it just kind of adds to the awesomeness of this plugin. And it makes things even more tweakable and fine-tunable for the user, which is really awesome. Okay, it's really, really awesome. But let's not talk so much about the technical stuff anymore. Let's get some sounds and see what it sounds like. So let's go through some of the presets, all right? So the factory presets for this Ampworks, let's pick up the Atomic Smash and see what that sounds like. So it's a really bitey sound. I guess if you were going for like a thrash metal sound, that would be a good one to go with. Let's go with the Bulldozer, okay? I like that one a little bit. That's a little less like cut your hair off kind of those high frizzy frequencies, but let's butt rock. Okay, it's a little less gainy. So if you wanted a little less of a gainy sound, you got that. Let's see, Gravity. What's that sound like? Okay, but you know, my favorite that I found so far is the Sonic Assault. That one is my favorite, and you can tell that gate is working really well for this one. So you can tell the gate on that little staccato stuff. There's no other trickery going on. That's all in the plugin. There's no extra sound, and that's great. I love that because it makes your production just that much better. And it's amazing the way that they can get this to work. But now I think I'm going to try to dial in a little bit of my own tone, but I want to show you guys a little bit of what this stuff does. So I have it set on the Sonic Assault, and let's go over to this the overdrive. And let's turn it off. This is what the Sonic Assault sounds like without the overdrive on. Okay, and then you turn it on. Really beefs it up, like really beefs it up, okay? I don't know if you guys can tell, but you should be able to tell. That really gets things really nice and beefy. And so if we go over here, like I was talking about the high and low gain distortion setting, let's just kind of see what that sounds like. So right now it's set to the high. Let's put it to low. Let's see how different it is. So there's a bit of a change. So you can hear the change that's switching between the high and the low gain. But now what I really want to show you guys, the cool thing, is switching between these tubes. So it's right now it's on the 6L6. Let's switch over to the next one. Okay, moving on to the KT. So that one really adds a really like high gainy, almost Pantera-esque kind of frequency range to it. I'd play some Pantera with it, but I'm in C standard, or well, drop A sharp, but the same kind of sound is in there. It's got that really high gainy, like really high frequency frizz. So it's got that kind of high gainy, like frizzy sound at the top, but I think I like sticking with the 6L6, but it's just cool that you can swap between them. I just think it's a really cool touch that they added. It makes it more interactive and it makes it more versatile for people to have their own tone and to change things up a bit. Okay, so now I want to look at the voice switch and show you guys kind of what that does. So right now it's switched down. Let's see what it sounds like if I can maneuver this correctly with my mouse. See if I can get it to swap. So you can hear it has a pretty big impact on it, and it's kind of like a mid. It shifts kind of the mid frequencies with your tone. I think that's kind of what it's doing. So it's just another cool little thing to change up your sound a little bit if you want something to stick out a little bit more for maybe a solo, or if you get a certain tone and you want it to sit right in a mix. I could see you very well dialing in a very easily mix ready tone with this plugin. It's really great, and that voice thing just kind of adds a little extra versatility like everything else. So next, I think I kind of want to look at the depth dial and the detail dial. So if I turn it all the way down, this is what it kind of sounds like. Okay, and as you turn it up and you get it towards the top, let's put it at maxed out. You can hear that low end kind of kick in. So with it all the way off, very thin and kind of crispy, and you get a very beefy low end, okay? And so I'm going to dial that back again because you don't want that too high. But then let's look at the detail, all right? We'll turn that all the way down. We'll turn it all the way up. So basically, like I said earlier, the depth controls like the low resonance, and the detail is kind of like your presence dial. So those two things help to add a very large sounding guitar tone to whatever you're trying to work with, especially messing with that depth dial or the resonance. It really makes those guitars beefy as hell. You can dial it too much, which I wouldn't recommend doing. But if you're playing around and you just want to hear it through your headphones like I am, in a non-recording setting, if you want them to sound big and beefy, that's the way to go. Alright everyone, that's it. That's my little overlook of the Omega Ampworks Granophyre by Neural DSP. It's a beefy as shit amplifier. It's a great plugin. It's really optimized. There's a lot of options to pick from. You can create your tone down to the finest detail. If you're a metal guitar player, bedroom guitar player looking into getting into the amp simulator and cabinet simulator world, this is a good way to start, and it's not very expensive. It's like 110 bucks. You can't really beat that. You'll spend more for just an amp itself, let alone a cabinet and everything else that comes with these plugins. So it's a good way to start. It's easy to record with. It's great to use and practice with. And it's just, holy shit, Neural DSP. You have been putting out some amazing stuff. If you didn't check out my video on the Archetype Nolly back when that came out, go check the link up in here or up down in here in the description. If you want to get a 14-day free trial of this awesome Omega plugin by Neural DSP, I'll provide a link down below so you can click it and get a trial so you can test it out before you want to buy it, which is freaking awesome too. I would definitely recommend it. I would definitely recommend it. It's an amazing plugin. It's optimized. It sounds heavy as shit, and it's amazing. Let me know if I forgot anything, if there's any details you want to know or you want me to go over again in a later video. Let me know down in the comments, and I think that's it. So, like I always say, thank you guys so much for liking, commenting, and subscribing, and clicking that bell, and I will see you in the next heavy metal video. Keep it metal, Omega!